the number of business rules that you are going to have, and the amount of nesting you are going to have in those rules. And those rules are always changing. So there is a different dedicated platform for that. And generally, the right place for those is going to be somewhere inside BPM. That's why if you go to Chipco, which is more of the IPS vendor, they have BPM as well. They are probably going to have a rule engine as part of their solution offering as well.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. If you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry in which we discuss many different solutions and vendors. We are generally reviewing one of them every week. So for today, we have Pegasystems. And Pegasystems is a very interesting beast. I would say they are positioned more in the CRM category. Some people, sorry, what's that?
A very interesting beast. That's an
It's
interesting description.
it's a different beast, and you will know this once we have gone through the review. Why I'm saying that, because everybody is going to have sort of mixed feeling about who they are, but it's a big platform.
The
Really.
Pegasus is a beast as well, is why I was
Exactly.
putting that together, right? It's kind of like a weird pun.
Exactly. You have this. You have this. I think the name is consistent, Andy.
It is. It's a beast.
Yeah, it's a beast. It's a beast, and people feel that way as well. So we'll discuss, why that is. But that's a great system. It's an amazing, vendor and system. So we are going to review where they sort of fit and where they excel. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I am going to start with my quick intro. Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent analyst and advisory firm. We help clients with technology research, technology selection, as well as things such as contract negotiation, change management, etc. On that note, Andy, do you want to go next? Andy. New name, Andy. Andy.
Changing my name to something sounds like very French.
Much cooler, much cooler. I'm telling you.
Andre, yeah, I got to go with that. I think I'll change my name. My name is Andre.
Okay, go ahead, Andre.
Pratico. Or my mom calls me Andy.
Hey, I just replaced R from your last name, so now you are going to be.
I love it.
There.
I love
Henry
it. I love it. Excuse me. I'm still getting over this darn cold, but I'm feeling a million times better. I've been involved in the ERP business for manufacturers for all my life. Worked all over North America. I lived in the U.S. for 11 years, and we all know the dissatisfaction of ERPs. The customer dissatisfaction is not impressive, and so I do my best to try to educate and help people. I've on how to evaluate systems before they buy. And I have a published book, and I have webinars, and of course my meetings with my podcasts with Mr. Gupta every Tuesday is also very informative towards my understanding of various systems, and I'm very appreciative of being invited. Thank you.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Andy. And check Andy's book as well as his webinars. They are super cool. And he's super funny as well. That is something you are probably not going to get on this podcast.
Not as much. But
not as much.
Okay.
Yeah. Shrestha, do you want to go next?
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. My name is Shrestha Das, and I'm working as an industry research analyst at Elevate IQ. And as always, I'm super excited to be here today.
Okay, so much for being here, guys, and helping us with this. Now, if you're in the audience joining for the first time, we are a big fan of this whole three-way conversation. So if you have any sort of stories, experiences with the system, we always like to hear those. We will be discussing those as we move along with this presentation. On that note, guys, I know that we have reviewed many different CRM systems, okay? So
Immense.
today you guys are going to get a different taste of CRM, I would say. And some people might argue whether this is a CRM, to be completely honest. But the buckets that they are serving, the place where they are in, they definitely hang out in the CRM ecosystems. It's a different twist. And this is a twist that, and I don't know, Andy, whether you were in the review when we reviewed ServiceNow.
I
Service,
think so. I think so.
um, yeah, and stressed. I don't remember you were there back then. You were probably not participating, right? So the closest for this is probably going to be ServiceNow. ServiceNow all of a sudden has become extremely hot, just because it has extremely popular leadership team. It's a great product designed for cloud, but they are very similar product in general. ServiceNow has also done a lot of things from the marketing branding perspective, even though they are very comparable offering role they used to serve traditionally as well as the role that they are serving as of today. So overall, from the positioning perspective, where you want to think of them as, I mean, they are a low code, no code platform, and everybody in the market is going to argue that they have some sort of low code, no code component, but they are not necessarily low code, no code platform. Low code, no code platforms, they were designed for a purpose. And Andy, I'll give you a little history lesson here. And I don't know whether I've given you this. Maybe I have. You never know. I forget.
I love history.
So I don't know whether you remember the whole cloud play, the way cloud started. In the cloud world, you had three different offerings when companies were trying to position, okay, what is cloud? They were saying, you know what, you have IaaS, which is called infrastructure as a service, you have PaaS, you have platform as a service, and then you have SaaS, which is your software as a service. So these three different offerings were very common in terms of how you wanted to position your cloud offering. And as we all know from the enterprise software world, that once the concept becomes known, then everybody is going to do pretty much everything. So everybody is going to be all over the place.
Everyone says they're everything.
Right? So that's where the problem starts. But traditionally, if you look at the model, these three were very distinct category in terms of what you wanted. Now, the kind of things that we like to review, for example, from the enterprise software perspective, when we are saying CRM, ERP, EAM, field service, whatever, categories, those are more of they would fall more in the SaaS category. And I'm not going to call ERP SaaS because ERP is not SaaS, but they are more in the application software category. And in that as well, I guess there could be layers, so let's not get there. But in a very simple fashion, that you are buying an application as opposed to building the application. So that was the original intent of the enterprise software category. Now, the second layer was PaaS, which is your platform as a service. So the whole idea of platform as a service was that you know what, I'm going to provide you the bells and whistles from the platform perspective, but you are writing your own application logic, which means that you have to write a lot. Okay, with SaaS, you are going to get everything pre-baked, but that is also going to be very constrained model, meaning whatever I'm selling, you are buying that.
That's
If you
what
don't
you're
like
getting.
that,
Yeah.
it's not supposed to be a custom restaurant. The best analogy here, Andy, for your understanding is going to be, you go to McDonald's, okay, you find five options. Now we are in 2025, everybody is fairly used to the McDonald's model. You cannot go there and say, hey, can you put some yogurt on the side? It doesn't work that way. Even if you might be a big fan of yogurt for whatever reason, it just doesn't work that way. They might be able
I
to,
got a question about that, Sam.
yeah.
Why is it when you're doing that drive up and you see all these beautiful pictures of hamburgers and French fries and all these wonderful things, and you get your hamburger, it never looks like the?
Well,
Is that
so
marketing?
that's how the ERP world is, Andy, right?
I
You ask
know.
for something, you get something
I know.
else. I mean,
I
that's how.
know. It looks like a hamburger on the picture, but when you get it, it's like, ERP's the same way. You're right.
Andy, hopefully that wasn't the same experience with marriage, I guess, for you. Hopefully you see something, you get something.
No, I'm one of the lucky ones.
You're one of the lucky ones. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the whole idea, Andy, is that you need to spend a lot of time before committing to something, and maybe that's what you had done, and that's why you probably don't have as many surprises in your life. But not everybody is going to be as lucky, I guess. So yeah, so going back to the analogy, so you go to McDonald's, your goal is to get something super constrained. You don't have a lot of options. You need to figure out how to be happy with those options. If you are not going to be happy, you are going to find a lot of problems, I guess. Okay, the second is you go to a custom restaurant where they are going to be able to customize few things. I mean, you cannot get anything the way you are going to get at your home, I guess. But get ready to pay more. And by the way, you need to pay a lot more tips as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
So that's how the custom works. So now here, when you look at platform as a service, that's probably going to be the best analogy for that. And then finally, you have the infrastructure as a service. The whole intent of infrastructure as a service is, you are literally responsible for everything, including the infrastructure. So in the platform as a service, you still don't have to worry about the technical underpinnings, of these platforms. It's sort of done for you, but then you are still figuring out your application logic. So these were three very distinct layers, overall in terms of the position. When you look at any of the low code, no code platform, the overarching intent of that was never to be positioned as SaaS, but now everybody is trying to position them as a SaaS as well. They were more of the platform as a service, which means whatever SAP Infor they have done, you are doing that. And you have no idea how expensive that gets. Very expensive. Okay, it's like eating at a custom restaurant. You can only afford during your anniversary parties, I guess, unless you are Andy, who has millions of dollars sitting in his bank account and he can eat daily.
I got some right here in my pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can I see some of those, Andy?
Look at this. American, baby.
Yeah, American. See,
greenbacks.
American dollars. He does not trust in Canadian economy. Can you believe this?
Yeah, no, that's not true.
Okay, so this, when you come look at Pegasystems, the whole intent of this was always PaaS, which is your platform as a service. Okay, so here, obviously, they are going to provide a lot more things from the platform perspective, which is going to be your rule engine, and people are going to wonder what the hell is a rule engine? Why do you need that? Okay, this was all part of that whole BPM play, which was called business process management. And the difference between BPM and iPaaS, and there is going to be a little differentiation between that as well. And the reason why I am telling you all of these categories is because you have to look at their competitors, and they sort of overlap with a lot of different categories. That's why understanding of these categories is going to be super critical. So the real difference between BPM and iPaaS, which is going to be your integration layer, that the whole idea of iPaaS was system to system interaction. There should not be any human involved. For BPM, you have a real human involved for those processes. And some of the industries where Pegasystems is going to be really hot is going to be your banking. They have very thick enterprise processes where you are going to have many different humans involved, and they are relatively ad hoc. That's why for them, the ERP processes are probably not going to work because they are going to be too rigid, too constraining. And that's why they always needed something that is going to be slightly more flexible according to their needs. That's why for them, PaaS made a lot more sense. So even if you are going to look at their CRM layers, the standard plain vanilla CRMs may not work for their use cases. That's why they needed something like this. And that's why I call this beast, ND. And the reason for that is because these platforms, when you look at them, they could be really thick and frightening, like super frightening. Okay. And they are sold as, hey, you are buying low code and no code. No big deal. Even Andy can code.
Yeah.
You have no idea how difficult they are going. They are probably more difficult than writing a real program in a programming language. Yeah, that's how difficult.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah, and we are going to, review some of the reviews for this platform, and users are saying, because generally with programming languages, the advantage that you have is at least you have a lot of information or the documentation available in public that's open. So you are going to have a lot more scenarios. Communities are going to be there to be able to help. But with any proprietary product, you are just not going to have that. It's very rare, and companies are making money based on their consulting, so they are not going to offer that for free unless it's some sort of developer ecosystem. Then it's a different case. So that's why these platforms, even though they are positioned as low code, no code, they are probably going to be more difficult than writing everything from scratch in a programming language. Okay, so going back to the positioning, Pegasystems is probably going to be in that PaaS category. But what they have done is, you know what, now I have to compete with SaaS, and I'm not able to compete with SaaS unless I have the business logic configured. So what they have done is they have written the CRM logic, a lot of that, okay, on top of their own platform, because it's going to be much easier, at least for them, because they understand their own development model. The whole idea was to make it easier, but there is a little learning curve, with these platforms, the way they work. So overall positioning is going to be low code, no code. This is a real low code, no code category, as well as the platform. There might be other systems which might claim that they are low code, no code, but their low code, no code capabilities are very limited in general. The use cases, for example, let's say if you look at any of the ERP systems, okay, they have all acquired some sort of low code, no code platform, and they have sort of layered in on top of your core ERP layer. But the whole intent of that low code, no code platform is going to be very simple approval flows, etc. It's not meant to be thick layers such as this, what they are able to do from the Pegasystems perspective. The other thing that you need to remember is that the whole rule engine. And in some industries, the rule engine could be an ERP in itself. Okay, it's that complex. For example, let's say if you go to any logistics industry or the freight industry, or when you look at the whole insurance actuary or the claims management flow, for that the number of business rules that you are going to have and the amount of nesting you are going to have in those rules, and those rules are always changing. So there is a different dedicated platform for that, and generally the right place for those is going to be somewhere inside BPM. That's why if you go to Chipco, which is more of the IPaaS vendor, they have BPM as well. They are probably going to have a rule engine as part of their solution offering as well. So, logically speaking, in the enterprise software dictionary, as well as the way enterprise architecture is supposed to work, if you look at the ideal positioning of these different technologies, low code, no code is probably the right fit for this whole PaaS category. Dev platform is going to be very unique as well in this category, because now these banks, insurance companies, they need a lot of different custom apps that they need to design, and they are most likely not going to design in a programming language, because then they have to worry about the infrastructure, etc. So these tools allow them to develop whatever anybody wants, the custom apps. So that is another play, and that's exactly what even ServiceNow is doing. So the biggest comparison here for Pegasystems is probably going to be ServiceNow, and they are positioning themselves as more of the workflow automation category because they don't like to be called BPM, because BPM was always very painful and frustrating experience for most companies. That's why they had to rebrand, because if they sold themselves as BPM, then everybody would hate it. So now they have rebranded that category, and they are calling this as more of the workflow automation. But workflow automation as such does not mean anything, because everybody is going to claim that we are also workflow automation. But workflow automation has a place for a very specific business use cases such as this. Then you have RPA as a category. RPA was designed more for relatively ad hoc processes, much more ad hoc than what you can accommodate inside tools such as your Pegasystems or ServiceNow. So in terms of the ad hocness, when you have the most standardized process, meaning you already know what you want, or how you want your processes to be structured, then you go for your standard SaaS category, which is going to be ERPs of the world, CRMs of the world, WMS, TMS, EAM, whatever, pre-baked, McDonald's, model. Now, when you are going to be more ad hoc than these categories, then you go for something like ServiceNow or your Pegasystems. In these cases, when you look at this, it is not just going to be your the ad hocness that is going to be relevant. It's also going to be number of channels and the differences in those technologies. For example, these technologies do really good job when they are interacting with emails, when they are interacting with your mobile devices. And when I say this, what that means is when you are going to have many different applications and you need to have the whole GRC workflow. And if you guys don't know what GRC means, that is your governance, and you need to help me here. What is that? Governance, control, and what is R for? Uh,
I'm sorry, Sam. I was
okay.
going to ask you.
Okay, if you guys Google and if you do chat GPT, you should be able to find GRC is a very common term in the ERP industry. Some of you might not know, but that is going to be related to your workflow security. The whole intent of GRC is that you are going to have centralized security model. When you look at inside app, for example, let's say if you look at ERP is going to have its own user workflow, its own user security workflow inside the ERP. But when you are using 5 different applications, you need something that is going to centrally govern and control the security workflow. For example, you have ERP, plus you have Dropbox, plus you have email, plus you have several different devices. They are running very different software. And now, if you want that federated security across your application types, then you would require something like Pegasystems of ServiceNow. That was the original intent of BPM, and that's why this category exists.
Governance, risk,
Exactly.
compliance.
I was missing this. And yeah, you are right. It was not control compliant. Thank you so much for looking that up. And now some of these categories, for example, RPA. Now, what is the logical place for RPA? And now everybody has acquired RPA because RPA has become more of the ingredient. Where every category is trying to take advantage of RPA. That's why they have sort of included that as part of that. But if you look at the logical place from the enterprise architecture perspective, this is probably going to be the right category which should be utilizing RPA, because they are doing the most amount of integration across human-centric business processes or technical business processes, both of them. And this is where you are going to see the real use case of AI agents as well. These guys are going to be the real winners, where not right now everybody is trying to gain the market share through AI agents. But the logical place is probably going to be somewhere around this. And that's why ServiceNow is really hot, because ServiceNow is claiming that they should be the quarterback for AI agents, and which is most logical, if you look at this more from the enterprise architecture.
Sam, would you think that RPA is synonymous with machine learning?
No. So these two are two completely different technologies. Okay. Now you need to Google RPA as well. I don't remember what that acronym stands for.
What does it stand for? Okay.
What, remote process automation?
Robotic.
Robotic. Yes. Yeah. Robotic process. So robotic process automation and ML, these two are going to be two completely different technologies. ML is machine learning. RPA is robotic process automation. Robotic process automation does really well when you are going to have physical documents, physical processes that cannot be automated, I guess. The whole idea is to replace a human. So for example, let's say you have an admin person, and the only thing that admin does is, from 9 to 5, they receive a bunch of sales invoices, paper form, because the customers are not willing to move to email just yet. So you don't have a choice. You are still receiving those paper copies, and they are going to process, do the data entry. Now, RP is claiming that we can do this job, if you can somehow figure out that, okay, you have a scanner, if you can, scan those invoices using the scanner, I can take it from there. I can do pretty much everything after that. Okay, so it's going to be just one example of the process. Likewise, if you have any sort of ad hoc process or ad hoc bots that you want to, implement them on your desktop, they are designed for slightly more fragile, ad hoc processes, and they are not designed for very governed processes the kind of category BPM or the SaaS is going to handle, I guess. I don't know if I'm Andy.
No, thank you, Sam.
Machine learning is sort of in the AI world. It's very different. It's like data mining, learning from data, and it's very, 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 very
capturing
different.
Data.
Yeah, exactly. Now, process mining some people might argue that process mining is probably machine learning, and process mining could use machine learning to be able to do what they are able to do, from the use case perspective. Now, we have reviewed Solanas. Solanas was the process mining category. Now, every single enterprise software vendor has some sort of process mining acquisition, because they are trying to figure out, okay, how they can make money from that. So they have acquired all these things, but technically, if you look at process mining, technically process mining either resides standalone or they should be part of something like Pegasystems, depending upon whether you want them to be consolidated as part of the same tech stack, or do you want them to be siloed. So again, depending upon your strategy. So this has become, if you look at Pegasystem, and the reason why I call them beast is because they are almost like ERP for workflow automation. And let me be very careful in calling that, because I will call out anybody who's calling workflow automation as an ERP, but I'm doing that myself right now. Just to give you an idea, but please don't call an it an ERP. Okay. So here, and they have a BI layer as well, and that everybody has, for the most part included. But again, I think BI layer kind of belongs here. If you are going to use this as data warehouse as well, which is unlikely, but some companies might be using that, so that's why they have the BI acquisition as well. Overall, where they started and what they did in the past when they were sort of young, they were more of they would call themselves as more of the case management platform. And case management platform is nothing but your customer service workflows. A lot of customer service categories, they are doing case management for the most part, and they were useful in very call center centric workflows where you would require integration with phone systems. You had to do a lot of processing, because traditionally back in the days the majority of the customer traffic came from phone, but that changed now. Now you have chat, you have website forums, so many different interaction models, and that's why you need something that is going to be slightly more integrated overall, I guess, or going to make it slightly more centralized. So again, this is a very BPM category. This is a very PaaS category, which is platform as a service. That's the overarching intent. Now, if you look at the competing technologies, so you have the CRM. They are in the CRM play because some companies are going to use them as CRM because they have pre-built flows built on top of their own low code and no code. For that, the categories are going to be your Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics 365 apps, but they would fall under that SaaS category. Okay. Then you have the BPM workflow automation low code. These are real PaaS, which is going to be your platform as a service category. So in this case, you are going to have ServiceNow. Now, Creatio is going to claim that, I'm CRM as well. But they have built that logic on top of their platform. So yes, they are CRM. They are going to be a great fit or great CRM for companies that are going to require a slightly ad hoc processes, because not only you can utilize what they have built, but you can customize that, because the overarching platform was very customizable, scalable for any sort of customers, customer groups, customer journeys, which might not be possible with the SaaS platform. And then you have APN. Again, APN is also positioned in the CRM market just a little bit, but they are a lot more low code, no code. So they do a lot of business there. They are going to claim that they are also ERP, but they are not ERP. They are simply trying to build these processes on top of their
marketing. Is a wonderful thing. Sam.
It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, it can make everything level playing field, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then you have TIBCO Active Metrics, and which is a very technical platform. The whole intent of TIBCO Active Metrics was to act as more of the BPM. They were in the iPaaS market. They wanted to get into the BPM market, which is a very complex platform. Very similar to your Pegasystem. There is no difference between these two, but TIBCO Active Metrics is not necessarily delivering the pre-built CRM logic. That's why Pegasystems is more in the CRM market. TIBCO Active Metrics is not in that. Okay, Boomiflow tried to introduce their own flow platform, which is very similar to your Microsoft Power Platform. There's no difference between these two. I don't know how successful they are, but the overarching intent is that. So the next is MS Power Platform, which is also the intent is workflow automation, which is what ServiceNow is doing. And since ServiceNow is winning so much in a category which was most hated, so now everybody's trying to position that they can do that as well, and that's why you have all of these categories in the market. Then you have some of the categories such as customer engagement. Now you are going to find flavors of customer engagement inside your inside Pegasystems as well. So you have Braze, and I think they already had at least $500,000 market share, if I remember, not market share, ARR, if I remember from their review. They were not a billion in ARR, but they were probably half a billion. So they are fairly big, but Pegasystems is going to have all of these capabilities, but a lot more. So I was always wondering, okay, what is going to be natural home for Braze? So these are probably going to be the categories where they are probably going to be acquired. I don't know. Medallia is very similar to your customer engagement category as well. And Andy, I don't know whether you were part of the review that we did for Front, and I was sort of concerned. Okay, what is the natural home for Front now? After reviewing Pegasystems, these are going to be categories where Front is going to make sense, and that's why they might be valued so much, even though they might not have any sort of competitors or categories at this point of time. But this could be a natural home for them because there's a real play for them. And then you have Genesis again. These are very telco centric apps, very customer call center centric apps as well. They are very deep into those call center workflows. But again, overarchingly speaking, this would still fall under that CRM category. And then you have RPA. For RPA, you have the independent vendors. For example, you have UiPath, you have Automation Anywhere, as well as Blue Prism. They are three leading RPA vendors, but pretty much everybody has acquired some sort of RPA technology as part of their acquisition strategy. So everybody has some sort of RPA capabilities. But if you are looking for independent RPA vendors, these are going to be the ones. So they are probably going to be compared with these as well. And then Pegasystems is very strong in field services as well. Okay, they are as strong as your service power and PTC. And the reason why they are so strong is because they are doing a lot more business in the insurance, in the banking space, financial services. Okay, and in these spaces, the field services was a very different beast. When we look at the service power business model, they were very well penetrated into the insurance-centric spaces, and their product looked very different because the field service processes in those industries are going to be very different, right? So this is going to be so Pegasystems is not only going to have whatever service power is going to have, but again, it's going to have a lot more. So depending upon whether you're looking for a suite, and suite is probably the right term as opposed to calling it ERP. I like suite a lot more. So this is almost like suite of a lot of different automation tools. That is probably the right description and fair description of describing these. And then obviously you have the Solaris, which is just the independent category for process mining. These guys are going to have process mining capabilities as well, just like most enterprise vendors. And then the industries where you're going to find them is probably going to be bank, financial services, media, and government. Those are probably the most common. And again, they are implemented in those CRM use cases for the most. Okay, I'll move to the next one unless you guys have any other comments. No?
Nope.
Okay, so here, so Pegasystems, I guess some of the pros and cons, and I'll be super brief here because I have already touched on a lot of these points. So it's probably going to be very complex, even though they are positioning it as more of the low code, no code. They are definitely not easy. So be ready for complexity because you are going to get a lot of proprietary boilerplate, which would require substantial training. Now, if you are using this technology as your tech stack, it's a wonderful choice because the total time to market is probably going to be faster, but don't ignore the initial learning curve, which is going to be very frustrating for your technical teams and developers. So the other pros that you're going to find is going to be slightly more real-time interaction, management, which is very similar to your Braze. The things that we had reviewed in Braze review. If you have not reviewed that, and that is probably third review I'm speaking in one sentence. So if you have not reviewed, check that out. Okay, so Braze is going to have very unique layers, and Pegasystems can support all of them. So that's going to be a strength. Not many vendors can do that in the market. Overall, I guess the cons that you are going to find is it's probably going to be extremely difficult, not quite low code, no code, even though they are claiming that, and it's probably going to be a BPM tool disguised as a CRM. It's a real BPM tool, still very BPM-y. Creatio is probably going to be the most comparable, I would say, in terms of the capabilities, in terms of the market that they are penetrating together. So this is going to be low code, no code as well. They have CRM workflow. It's not going to be as complex as Pegasystems because Creatio is trying to target slightly more mid-market. Pegasystems is very enterprise. For Creatio, the industries are going to be very different as well. But again, I mean, we are going to review them. We are going to look at, where their market share is. So, wait for that review. ServiceNow, we have already reviewed, so you might want to check that. But ServiceNow is going to be fairly comparable with this category as well. The things that they are doing, they are going to be far more cloudy compared to what Pegasystems is doing. compared to what Creatio was doing. But again, the overall application is very similar. Overall from the business application. And then Salesforce and Braze are going to be the other comparable technologies that are going to be used in very similar use cases. Again, they are not necessarily comparable, but they are going to be comparable, at least for the use. So again, if you have not checked the reviews for Salesforce and Braze, you might want to check that. Then you will get far more details about Salesforce and Braze. I'll keep moving here, talking about Pegasystems. Unless you guys have any comments. So here now we are going to different stories, related to Pegasystems, and this is from 2016. So here in 2016, they are saying Pega Field Service, a new application that allows organizations to extend superior customer service capabilities to their field technicians and agents. Pega Field Service unifies and streamlines the entire field service operation from first call to final resolution on a single platform, providing a more satisfying customer experience and enabling a more productive field workforce. Okay, whatever. After that, I guess that's all sales pitch. Uh, the whole idea here is the field service processes for the industries such as your banking and insurance. Okay, you are going to find very similar pitch from the service power as well. So review them, understand what they are trying to do. Pegasystems is able to do very similar use cases. That's why they are in the field services space. Pegasystems may not be the best fit. For example, let's say you go to Industry 4.0 or you go to manufacturing centric spaces. If they have field service workflows, their field service workflows are going to be very different, and that's where they are going to be competing with likes of maybe IFS. In 4, they are going to have all of those capabilities. Now maybe Epicor, they have developed the field service capability. So again, the use case is very different because the industries are very different. Then they are saying on the spot claims adjustment after an accident for insurance agents, and they have been very, very, very specific here. So even though it was slightly more generic description, now this is a very specific description because Pegasystems is only going to make sense in the insurance centric industries, and that's where their major market share is. So if you are going to be in the insurance industry, maybe they are saying broadband installations for media and communications, that's where their market share is. Then you are talking about home inspections and appraisals for mortgage bankers. So banking, that's where Pegasystems is. And then you have the in-home wellness visits by healthcare professionals. Healthcare Pegasystems does really well. And then emergency disaster response during a hurricane or earthquake for government agencies, Pegasystems does really well for those citizen experiences, even though it might be slightly bloated, but that's where even ServiceNow is winning these. And then you have equipment repair for maintenance for energy, life sciences, high tech, and numerous other industries. And that's where I guess you might find a lot more options which are going to be better and aligned with those industries. So Pegasystems is not going to do as well in these industries. That's why probably they have as the 6th bullet point, their main strength is going to be insurance, media, mortgage banks, and healthcare, maybe a little bit of government. That's where their play is going to be, because these are the industries which are going to have relative ad hoc processes. If you compare the market share, Salesforce is going to have the market share in these industries. Workday is going to have market share in these industries. Even Oracle is very, very, very strong in these industries, because I personally call them as more of the non-ERP industry versus the ERP industry. Non-ERP industries are very, very, very. Okay, I'll keep going here. So one more story from 2016. Here they are saying, and this is coming from Forrester. So Forrester Research has named Pegasystems a leader in New Forrester Wave, reporting, evaluating dynamic case management system. And I don't know if they are still tracking a category called dynamic case management solution. There is a possibility, but I think now this has been branded more as workflow automation, I would say, or maybe BPM. I don't know. But this is coming from 2016, so I don't know if Forrester is still maintaining that category. There's a very strong possibility that dynamic case management category does not exist, because again, it's a very different market now. But they had rated them in that category. Now, and I believe, Andy, I don't know whether you remember this or not. I think Front was trying to argue very similar case as well, that their platform is very fluid. If you want to go for Zendesk, then you are sort of tight coupling yourself. So they are not going to have as fluidity as what Front is able to do, and that would fall under that dynamic case management category. Then you have one more, story. This is the same story, I guess. So here they are saying Forrester, they have included them as part of the BPM platforms, which is the right category. for digital business, and they have the digital layer as well. Now, I don't know what digital means. It could be tech, yeah. It could be banking. Banking is very digital as well. Some people might argue that that could be commerce. Pegasystem is not going to be a fit for the commerce-centric businesses. So I think this is more of the tech, media, software development, maybe banking, and the BPM platform for them are going to be very good. One thing I do personally like about Forrester, the way they categorize in different industries as well as categories. So they are slightly more specific than Gartner. That's what I personally like. And then they are also saying that real-time interaction management, and this is the category where Breeze is ranked. So so your Pegasystem is ranked there as well, just because they have very comparable capabilities. So real-time interaction management is going to be your Breeze. So this is going to be where you are going to send out the video, and if you want to do real-time survey on a TV or a screen, then you can do that. That's the real-time interaction management. Klaviyo argued that they had that as well, but again, that's not going to be as real-time as what these guys are able to do. So I don't believe that Klaviyo is going to be ranked here. So this is a very different category for media-centric. And then they have the Gartner Magic Quadrant, for BPM platform based case management frameworks. So Gartner has different definition for that, which is fair. It's not bad at all, to be completely honest. But I don't know if they are still carrying with that case management terminology, which is not as common in 2025. Then they are saying 2025 critical capabilities for BPM platform-based case management frameworks. So again, they have used case management a lot, but again, that is in 2015, so it might be outdated a little bit. But it gives us a little context where they come from. So that's why we like to analyze that. What their journey has been, and if they have made any sort of changes, pivots, then we can probably analyze that. But traditionally, they were very BPM, and that's what even the major analyst firms are saying. So here they are saying 2016, one more story. So they are saying today announced Pega client lifecycle management, and client lifecycle management is a category that is very common. Again, in my mind, that is going to be part of your CRM category. It should not be different. But in some industries, that layer itself could be really big, that 90% of the CRMs may not be able to accommodate, and that's why they are branding themselves as client lifecycle management. And the number of customers and the journeys that they are going to have are going to be fairly different as well. So sometimes there could be layers to that too. So they are saying an application that streamlines and automates client onboarding. So you are getting into the real, client onboarding workflow, where you are going to have a lot of different workflows, handshake, where you have many different series of documents, approvals, etc. CRMs in general are not designed for that. These are the workflows where ServiceNow is going to be an amazing fit. So that's why they are calling it as more of the client lifecycle management, which is slightly distinct than your CRM category. That's why it is branded as that. So again, this is going to be the best comparison here is going to be the difference between your ERP and P2P from the procurement perspective. That is probably similar, because P2P is very workflow centric, many different interactions, a lot of documents, a lot of different emails, and you need to track all of that. You need to track in a secure manner. So again, ERPs, they don't do it as well in those categories. That's why they have this as slightly different. Again, even in the ACM category, you are going to find very similar layers there as well. They are saying by orchestrating complex ELM processes on a global scale in a single unified application. Again, this is the same marketing pitch from ServiceNow as well. It's very, 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 very similar use case. There is no difference. Then they are talking about KYC. KYC compliance itself is really big. Okay, and that does integrate with your hardware. When you are going to go to your bank, you are going to do a little face scan, okay, which looks amazing, like a sci-fi movie. But then what banks does in the background is, when they are scanning, they have to comply with KYC compliance, which is called Know Your Customer, meaning for every single transaction, you have to log at least 5 different fields. If you are not able to do that, you are going to be non-compliant from the bank perspective. Now, other industries are not going to care for that. But if you don't follow this, those banks are going to be in trouble. That is mandated by the government. That's why KYC is so unique. And Pegasystems is really well in these spaces, because the platform is designed for that compliance. If you have to build that compliance on any CRM systems out there, you are going to have nightmare, I guarantee. Okay. Then you have some more comments coming from 2016. Here they are saying the software company empowering the world's leading enterprises with strategic business applications today announced the acquisition of OpenSpan, which is the RPA. That's how they got RPA capabilities. They are saying RPA, and they have incorporated that as part of their suite. So again, that's how they got RPA capabilities. They can do all of the RPA processes just the way ServiceNow is able to do. And I don't know when ServiceNow acquired, but ServiceNow acquired around the same time as well. I think Bill moved from SAP to ServiceNow just around this time. So, and after that, I believe they acquired RPA, but they are attacking very similar problems. Then one more story here. They are saying Transavia announced it has selected Pegasystems, the software company empowering the world's leading enterprises with strategic business applications. Okay, so they are saying Europe's leading digital airline. Again, airlines are going to be very unique workflows, the kind of integrations that they are going to have, the kind of systems they are going to have. Airlines are very unique beasts, and that's why systems such as Pegasystems work for them, because they are going to have relative ad hoc processes, and that's where even ServiceNow is going to do amazing. It's a very similar use case. Sales forces of the world might struggle in these spaces, even though they are going to claim that they are the leading CRM. I get it, but not for every industry. Here they are saying Pega customer service, Pega sales automation, Pega marketing, Pega platform. They are saying while enabling employees and partners to work collaboratively. So here the whole partner aspect itself is very thick, because the partners, the number of partners that you're going to have, the number of layers you are going to have in partners, building that inside Salesforce is going to be a nightmare. It's not designed for that. It's not designed for that kind of fluidity. And that's where you would require something like this, which is going to be relatively ad hoc, that can accommodate many different personas, workflows, as well as customer journey. Okay, so it's still in 2016. So they are saying now RP is fully unified and available within Pega platform for case and business process management. So now this is whole, they have merged, as part of their core suite. That's what they have done, and that's what most vendors have done. So they are not doing anything crazy here that we need to call out. So which is wonderful. I like it. Now, then they have some of the things. For example, they are saying the direct integration of chronic care guidelines in the Pega care management application makes it easier for the care delivery team. And again, these processes inside healthcare are going to be very unique as well. You cannot model these processes inside traditional CRM or traditional ERP, and that's why you would need this. For example, you are going to have workflows or the customer personas such as your case managers, your health coaches, your providers. So you are interacting with so many different personas. And again, traditional SaaS applications, unless they are designed for healthcare, they are not going to have all of these capabilities. And that's where you would need to build that. And that's where Pegasystems matters. Okay, I don't have anything else here. I'll keep moving unless you guys have any comments. Okay, so now we are in 2017. So 2017, they are saying they have announced the launch of Pega Agile, Workbench, a new visual application development tool. So they have a real application development tool. And now I think they are competing with the likes of IBM. IBM has big product suite. They are selling the whole development suite. IBM was probably the most famous, most common. I don't know how many products they have right now, to be completely honest, from the application development perspective. But IBM had one of the largest market share in that space. Then you are going to have, and I don't remember all of the vendors right now off the top of my head, but you are going to have vendors such as your Atlassian. They have big market share. Which are the other vendors? CA Technologies, I guess. They had the bug tracking tool, I believe. So again, we'll go back to that category sometime, I guess. But right now, this is the real application development category, which is a beast in itself.
Do you have any more current comments? We're running out of time. I was just wondering if there's any more, in the last few years.
Last few years, which comments?
Well, we're looking at 2016, 2017. Is there anything in the 2020s?
So do you want to cover the recent ones, I guess, right? So let's
we're running out of time.
Quickly.
That's all.
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, we can do that. So let's see. And I'm looking at if I want to talk about any of the relevant ones, I guess. No, they have this one in the chat acquisition in 2019. This is where they got that Braze, capability. So now they are able to do that in real-time interaction. So that's why, that's a very hot category as well. This is 2019. 2019, they have this customer service. And again, the channels have increased in general over the years. So that's why now they have to accommodate a lot more. This is a very similar use case as Braze. And then you have this story where they are positioned in the manufacturing, warranty, and service contract management, which is just mind blowing.
As strong as IFS too.
Yeah, and if you look at Andy, if you look at their, I mean, the kind of market share, at least the way IDC is positioning, they are saying that Pegasystems has as much market share as IFS. Can you believe this? Like, that is just unbelievable. As PTC is going to have a lot more because they have CAD, they have MES, but Pegasystems has that much market share. I just don't believe it. So this is very interesting. If they are doing that much business in the manufacturing sector, we definitely have some homework to do that they are able to do that much business, at least as per IDC. Salesforce is going to have a lot of market share there. This is 2020. They are positioned as the healthcare CRM. I believe that's the right category for them.
Makes sense.
Yeah. This is autonomous X-ray vision from the RPA perspective, which is also very interesting. They are able to do very similar things as the autonomous databases, what Oracle is doing. Again, very interesting. Here you have cloud-based real-time speech analytics acquisition, which is very interesting as well. It belongs here, right? Acquisition in 2021. This is one more acquisition where they are saying process mining. So in 2022, Andy, they got process mining. That's when process mining became really hot. Celonis of the world. And obviously everybody's growing. These guys are growing as well. At least their cloud ACV, which is just mind-blowing.
Forrester's got Pegasystems as number one.
In what? That is going to be in real-time interaction management. So you have Pegasystems, you have SAS, you have Salesforce, you have Medallia. So these are different, players for real-time interaction management, which is a category in itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Then this is 2022. So they have, that's not as meaningful, so I'm going to skip that. Then you have the CDP category. Now they are trying to get into CDP. So they are attacking every single thing that Braze is trying to attack. So Braze is probably going to be acquired, I don't know, by ServiceNow maybe. That is probably going to be my forecast. If they don't have real-time interaction management right now. But this is very interesting. So that's pretty much it from the story perspective, Andy. So I'm going to open up for the comments, unless you want to cover anything else.
No, that's great. Thanks, Sam.
Of course. Do you guys have comments?
Yeah. It's really interesting. A lot of the comments today were, talking about the low code, no code products out there, and and of course this being one of them. But interesting that sometimes they're more difficult to program than you're doing from scratch.
Yeah.
Which of course is not the perception at all. It's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
I think where this product is obviously been successful is by targeting specific market. I mean, obviously the CRM market is wide, diverse. Field service, same thing. There's tons of alternatives out there, but these guys are focusing on financial services, airlines, any kind of business that needs ad hoc capabilities.
Now you are nailing the
aren't
terms.
Standard in most systems.
Yep.
Which is very wise.
So Andy, I have a comment here on the review. So here, we have some reviews from the users, and you guys can do your own research as well. Okay. So here, this is coming from a user review site, and they have claimed that worst part is that it's not at all low-code platform. That's what the user is saying. In case you are planning to procure Pega with low-code capability, then you must have a double check on your needs. And they have compared this with, APN, IBM, Builder.ai, Salesforce, which is a reasonable category. I have some more comments here which says very similar thing, so that you have some validation from the users as well. It's not just us saying that. Hold on. So more educational materials are required. Beginners who have prior programming experience in another language will take longer to learn. And again, this is coming from one more validation. And again, you guys can do research and find these reviews. It is all public data.
Hey, low code, no code has become one of those expressions that everyone uses in a marketing scenario, and the naive assume it means the same everywhere, and it's unique in every circumstance.
Yep. Shrestha, comments?
Nothing to add. I just felt like it's an interesting system, and I feel like companies would benefit if they set their expectation right with it and have a better understanding of the features. Yeah.
Could not agree more. Great points. Any follow-ups, guys? No?
Well, thank you, Sam, as always.
Of course. So thanks, guys. That's a wrap. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you guys are going to be here. Next week, we are going to come back with another vendor or the solution. On that note, thanks, everyone, for tuning in today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.